Welcome to the Infidel, podcast of the damned, the weekly companion show of the Infidel News. Join us as we discuss this week's religious accounts from an atheist perspective. From Timbuktu to Toledo, from Kathmandu to Canada, from Bangalore to Bangladesh. We deplore, you deride. And here are your hosts, Dave and Nicole.
Hello, and welcome to show number 13 of the Infidel podcast of the damned. I'm your host, J. David Core, atheist, author, and alleged accident. And with me is my co-host, Nicole Simard. Hello, Nicole.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey. Also joining us today is our Rupert Murdoch, the channel operator for Atheism TV, Emmanuel. Welcome, Emmanuel.
Hello, hello.
Are you in an accident, Emmanuel?
Today is Wednesday, December 3rd, 2014, and we're going to be discussing the upcoming episodes of the Infidel News, which will run beginning Monday, December 8th, 2014. Show notes for all of our podcasts can be found at infidelpodcast.blogspot.com. So I got a little bit of news. I know Nicole knows this. I don't know if you've heard this yet, Emmanuel, but we finally got. I finally figured out and got figured out how to do it and got approval from iTunes. Our show is now going to be available through iTunes.
Yay!
Hey, so that's a cool way to help build the show. So if you're a fan of the show, and you know somebody who you think might be interested in hearing the show, let them know that they can get the show on iTunes, or they can do direct downloads through the podcast website that I just mentioned earlier, infidelpodcast.blogspot.com, or they can subscribe to the RSS feed and get it sent directly to their phone.
That's great news.
Yep. So this is Emmanuel's first time on the show. Tell everybody about the Atheism TV, Emmanuel. Tell everybody what it is we do there.
All right. So Atheism TV is a fantastic channel on YouTube. It's a collaboration channel. Lots of people are working together to make original content. Of course, our star show is got to be the Infidel News for the Damned. Of course.
Any other way.
But we also have some comedies and some conferences that we have the footage of, and also all things that are produced by our collaborators. So new things are constantly being worked on right now, and I can't make any promises, but I'm thinking about some new content that's coming soon. Also, for all those who are listening, I'm sure you're aware that currently we are actively looking for new collaborators, especially since we lost a couple people on the show The Infidel. So just a public announcement. If you want to see your face, if you want to write for us on the channel, then please contact us.
Oh, and talking about faces, at the end of the podcast that I'm going to upload on my channel, I will put a special picture of the Infidel team minus one person. Aiden is not on it, but we've got everybody else, and it's a very funny picture.
Yeah. You want to tell them where it came from?
Absolutely. Jenny did a great picture. What she did is, what's the name of that movie again? That
Anchorman.
And so she took Burgundy and took, there's a picture of Burgundy with all his other teammates, and she put our faces instead. So I am Mr. Burgundy. I'm Nicole Burgundy.
Yeah. It was a cute picture.
I can see the resemblance.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The IQ is a bit higher.
Well, who? Ron Burgundy has a higher IQ?
Yes, exactly.
Keep it classy, Quebec. Anyway. Or stay classy. How's it go? Anyway. So you want to go ahead and begin with the first story?
Okay, here we go.
Until now, the Church of Scotland has always rejected the ordination of ministers involved in same-sex relationships, but this position may soon be coming to an end. Actually, talks on this topic have been going on for quite some time, but earlier this year, the Church's General Assembly decided to increase the pace and allow more discussion on the topic in spite of threats from the conservative wing. The results have been quite positive so far, and nearly half of the 46 local presbyteries have voted in favor of allowing gay ministers. Altogether, there have been 21 of the 24 yes votes needed for the change to be implemented. 10 presbyteries have voted no, and 15 have yet to send in their decisions. Reverend John Mann of Pro-Gay Affirmation Scotland was recently interviewed by Pink News, Europe's largest gay news service, and declared that although this proposal is not perfect, it is a step in the right direction and it allows people the freedom of their own conscience. We are praying for a time when the church and other denominations affirm people in same-sex relationships and celebrate love between two people as a gift from God.
Now that was interesting. I did on several counts. First off, I didn't know there was a Church of Scotland.
Well, same here.
Is it Episcopal?
I guess so. Well, Anglican is people outside of the U.S. would call them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that they're trying to get an upgrade for 2014. They are pretty much stuck in the Stone Age, but they're trying to get an upgrade, but it's not gonna be easy because in terms of homosexuality, I think the Bible is quite clear.
Yeah, well, the Old Testament was quite clear, and the New Testament, I think it's a little fuzzier because I mean there are a few things I think in Romans and mostly things that Paul said. In none of the Gospels have anything to say on the topic at all. There's nothing in Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John about it.
Right.
At all. So Jesus never. There's no red letters about homosexuality.
That's right.
Yeah.
It came from Paul and then onward, but yeah. Well, I mean, it's all a question of what parts of the Bible you choose to follow and which you don't.
Yeah.
But it would, if the Church of Scotland allows it, then I think they'll be the first ones to have gay and lesbian ministers.
Well, I mean, except like the Unitarians allow it, and there's a few there's probably a few other more modern churches that allow it. But yeah, they'll be the first major Christian church to allow it, and that's astonishing. It's astonishing to me that it's the Church of Scotland that's doing it first, because I would think just from I've never been to Scotland, but my imagination of Scotland is a lot less forward thinking than England.
Actually, no, they're not. It's the other way around. If you look at the last elections, for example, all of Scotland voted left, while England itself voted conservative.
Mm.
So if I think it's Brown who's the Prime Minister of Great Britain right now.
Yeah, I think it's so.
And he is a conservative. It's a conservative party.
Mm-hmm.
But the Scots have, all elected or mostly elected, left-wing people.
Right. And if you look at those numbers in the story, 15 have not yet voted, and they've got 21, and they only need 24. So if any 3 of those 15, and the trend is of those that have voted, they've got 21 yeses to 10 nos. So if the trend maintains, then it's a done deal.
Yep. By the way, I'm going to give away a little secret.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a story written in that style where it gives a lot of details with numbers, like in this case, it says 21 out of 48, and this they need 3 more, whatever. It's me who wrote it. When there's something like that, or when you've got dates in there, and says, for 3 years later, like last week, in one of our stories, the one about the church, the Scientology, Church of Scientology story we had about the Church of Scientology last week. There was a lot of dates in there when it took so many years to do this and that. Again, that's me. So if you want a way to betray, how I betray myself, I put that kind of detail in my stories.
Yeah, and if you see a goofy headline, that's probably me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And how can we tell it's your stories, Emmanuel?
How can you tell it's my
If it's
story?
a story that's been written by you.
Oh, you can't. I rarely write stories.
But it's always welcome when you do.
But when I do, I try to make it very how do you say that, sarcastic. That may be a way to know.
Okay. Yeah, because there are I think that might be it, because there are a few stories that have come over the line, and not cross the line, but come over the line, that I thought, well, that was a little bit close to the edge there.
Well, I'm always careful about that, but there are times when I will let a few things slide. Remember, I talked about that a few, was it a week or two ago, when I was saying that, there was a comment about the Catholic Church,
Uh-huh.
and I said that I would let it slide because there was, in fact, precedents that matched with the sarcasm, so I let it slide that time.
Yeah. Well, there was a story that we did this week, and at the end of it, it was the last story on the episode, and it was somebody. It was about a minister, a youth minister that was being accused of molesting somebody, and they were all the people in the church that were being interviewed were talking about how he seemed like such a nice guy, like, one of those kind of stories. And at the end, the woman said that she's praying for him, and then at the end of the story, it said, so while she's praying for him, who's praying for the victims?
And I'm to blame for this. I am to blame for that sarcastic comment. Isn't that terrible of a ex-professional journalist
Yeah.
to put a comment like that?
Yeah. It's true though. I mean, but it's, yeah, but
You were asking about which episode I had, which stories I had written. I write mostly like special editions and stuff, and I conducted a couple interviews, but it's like special cases, really.
mhm.
Yeah. Shall we go on to the next story?
Yeah, let's do the
Please.
next one.
An Ontario minister from the United National Church may have said, "I pronounce you man and wife," but he may have unknowingly been fibbing. Last August, Casey and Jessica O'Donnell thought there was something strange about the way the man officiating their marriage was handling the ceremony, describing what took place as brutal. It was painful. He started out half decent and then kind of started dropping the ball. He dropped the rings, he stumbled over our names, he drew a blank for a good chunk of it, said Casey. The young couple got in touch with a representative from the Ontario government and discovered that the United National Church is not recognized in that province, and the two of them were therefore not married. The woman on the other end of the phone, you could tell she really felt bad that she had to be the one to inform us, said Jessica O'Donnell. And I have to say it didn't come as a complete shock, considering the way the ceremony had gone. However, the United National Church clearly says on its website that its ministers' licenses are valid across Canada. Actually, the province of Ontario is not alone in not recognizing this church. Alberta and British Columbia hold the same position. In fact, it looks like the United National Church may be a scam. The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation tried to get in touch with the United National Church both by email and telephone. A receptionist did eventually answer a call and told the journalist that although she works out of Westminster, Colorado, the church's only official address is a postal box in Atlanta, Georgia.
That's really good. That's very classy. A fake church.
Yeah. A fake church. But see, that's what is that a Canadian thing where churches have to be recognized by the government? Because,
Yes,
uh, and they is there like a vetting system?
I don't know, but the thing is, before the a marriage, like when the minister says, by the power invested in me,
Hmm.
well, the government has to invest that power and have to recognize you.
Right.
Yes.
So it cannot be any Joe Blow church.
Yeah. The minister
Uh,
has to be officially recognized. But I mean, it doesn't have to be a religious minister, as far as I know. It could be anybody appointed by the government for that task.
Hmm.
But what a shock for people going to a church thinking they're married and they're really not married. And what a scam like this church has been running. But
Yeah.
but now that I think about it, I guess all churches are scams in one way
Yeah.
or another. So
Well, yeah. But the thing, I don't understand. I've never understood why the government gets involved with religion in that aspect anyway, because who cares who marries somebody? I mean, what is it about being a minister that gives them special clout to be able to marry somebody? I mean, they justice of the peace, ships captains, that sort of makes sense as being a certain kind of clout. But any Joe can be a minister. So since anybody can be a minister in a church, it doesn't seem like it should be something either anybody should be able to marry somebody. Like if you're the foreman of a construction site, you should be able to marry somebody. Because why not? Really, what difference does it make? I am ordained in the Church of the Big Lebowski, which is based on the movie. Um,
oh,
oh
uh,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, and I can marry people based on that. I never have, and I'm also ordained in a church called God. It's spelled Godswill. So most people think it's God's will, but it's not. It's God Swill. So so God Swill Ministries. I'm ordained in that. Ordained in that organization too, and they're both officially recognized churches in the United States. But it's really easy to
So
get.
so that means you're a believer. So you're fired.
No, well, if you look at the what do you call it, I don't even know what you call it, but if you've ever seen The Big Lebowski, it's a religion based on The Big Lebowski. The Big Lebowski is a very philosophical movie,
Yeah.
but it's not religious in any sense.
no.
But yeah, so yeah, so technically
I think the whole idea is about trust, but I don't see why you would trust like a priest more than somebody else. As a matter of fact, when you're here in Canada, when you apply for a passport, you have to have somebody that will be willing to endorse you, but that person has to have like some title, for example, an engineer. I would probably trust an engineer much more than a priest for marrying me, but that's just me.
yeah, well,
And one thing I didn't put because in the story, because I'm the guy who wrote it, is that the couple had problem trying to find a minister to marry them in August, and so they went on Kijiji trying to find somebody.
Kijiji.
is that a
Yes.
website? Is that a
They're
website?
Yep.
they're lucky they haven't been cut in pieces. So
So they found that guy on Kijiji.
Is that like Craigslist?
Exactly. It's
Okay.
a classified.
Yeah, it's
In
like
Canada, it's a classifieds
okay,
website.
yeah, it's like Craigslist then. Yeah,
it's identical too. Yeah.
yeah.
So
That's funny.
that's
That's
how
funny.
that's how they found that guy.
They got their minister from Kijiji.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
Story number 3.
Sure, let's do it.
Let's do it.
A new decision has come down in the case of the Freedom from Religion Foundation versus Lou Parish exemption. The case, which was filed in the U.S. District Court, Western District of Wisconsin, way back in September of 2011, involves tax benefits for ministers of the gospel, also known as the parsonage exemption. The exemption permits members of clergy to deduct their rent payments for church-owned housing from their taxable income. Last year, U.S. District Judge Barbara B. Crabb ruled in favor of the FFRF, but an appeal was filed by the Justice Department and arguments were heard in the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals last September. Attorney for the government Judith Hagley argued that the FFRF does not have standing to sue as, quote, taxpayers do not have the right to litigate the tax liabilities of others. The appeals court sided with the government and in their decision said, the mere fact the discrimination is occurring is not enough to establish standing absent being personally denied equal treatment. The FFRF could refile to demonstrate that they have, in effect, been personally denied equal treatment. However, to do so, the organization would have to argue that it is a de facto church, a claim that they have routinely publicly disavowed.
Yeah, now that's a story that makes me ashamed to be an American. That Judge Barbara Crabb, though, she's always appearing. Her name has been on our channel. I don't even know how many times. She's always siding the right way. She's always, you know, I think like with the Pledge of Allegiance and other things like that. She's always on the right side, and then she always loses on appeal because the rest of the judiciary is crackpots. But it's ridiculous.
So she is an infidel star.
Yeah, she's an infidel star. Her name's if we could do like some kind of a search through all the scripts for Barbara Crabb, you should probably be in 10 stories.
So this parsonage, that's very interesting. So you know, if very often you have these believers who say, you know, oh, atheism, that's a religion, you know, that's a religion. And when they do that, my usual reply is, oh, that's great. I also want to save taxes and stuff. So, and get a parsonage and stuff. That'd be great if I could get like tithing and all the perks that come with the title of religion. But unfortunately, that legally speaking, that's not the case. Anyway, well, yeah. And I'm not even talking about the fact that they use the word religion in a bad way, which is dirtying their own religion at the same time. But that's another topic.
Yeah, there was a story this week on Fox News was talking about something, and the atheists somewhere put up a billboard, one of those like they do every year at Christmas, and Fox News was all over it, and they were saying that atheism is a religion because they put up billboards, you know. So, but yeah, we're a religion when they want to denigrate us for behaving religiously, and we're not a religion when we want equal treatment.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So it's I guess it's a case of damned if you do, damned if you don't, eh? Yeah. But I understand what the FFRF is trying to do right here, and I think that this parsonage exemption is really a favoring of religion, and that's not good.
Right. Well, and here's the thing about the decision. They said that they decided that the FFRF doesn't have standing. It's always that's how they always throw it out, because they basically said in the story, they said, even though you are being discriminated against, you don't have standing. So, you know, they're not saying that you're not right. They're saying that you don't have legal grounds you're not somebody who has the right to sue on this particular issue. So it's crazy, because let's say, for example, that you were any business. Let's say that you were a gas drilling business, like right here in the valley where I live. We have all these gas drilling businesses, and they buy houses and they bring their people in from Tennessee and Oklahoma and Texas because they know about oil drilling, and they bring them up in here because it's all new here. There's nobody here that really knows oil drilling, so they bring them up here and they put them up. And while they're up, they take a portion of their pay to pay for their housing, right? So it's the same thing as a church owning housing and putting up the minister, and then the minister takes a part of his pay and pays for it, but they don't get the tax break for it. So how are they not being? How are they? Since they're not a church, how are they not being discriminated against because they're not being given an exemption that the church is being given, that they are directly being. So this whole decision about standing and everything was really on fine definitions of words, because it should apply to everybody.
Right. Well, it's a shame, and it's not the only problem, that tax-related problem that is happening currently. And I know that also, if I'm not mistaken, it's American atheists who are also suing the government for taxes, tax-related stuff. And what I think is that the government has no business sponsoring basically religions, especially when these religions don't do any charitable work. Some of them do, and I applaud that, and I'm grateful for them to do that. But proselytization should not be considered a charity.
No.
No.
But even if they do charitable work, the thing about religions when they do charitable work, let's say that you have a Presbyterian church in the middle of town, and they do like a food shelter or something like that. Okay, well then you also have right next door, you have the barber shop, right? Now, the barber shop gets approached all the time by everybody in town that has any kind of a charity thing going on, and they'll come to him and they'll ask him for $10 for the yearbook, $5 for the baseball team. They'll nickel and dime him, and he'll give just as much money doing that as the church does supporting their shelter. But nobody goes to the church and says, "Can I have $10 for the yearbook, or $15 for the baseball team?" They don't, because that's not what churches do. So
actually, that kind of stuff is done here in Canada sometimes.
the churches support.
Yep.
Okay.
So over here, it is done.
Well, I'm sure that there are churches who do it, but do people actually go to the church and say, we're having a fundraiser, do you want to give us money? Or does the church just pick the fundraisers they want to give to?
They pick who they want to give it to, but the thing is, they are being approached.
Are they being approached? Okay, because because when I was a kid and I would be involved in like Key Club or whatever it was, and we were going around soliciting, we never solicited the churches.
Well, for example, Emmanuel, maybe you'll be able to help me here, but what's the name of the Catholic charity in Canada?
Oh,
the big Catholic charity.
I'm drawing a blank.
But there's a huge Roman Catholic charity, and they are set up at least in all the big urban centers. And people, anybody can go and ask them for money for any kind of project, and they will donate money on behalf of the Catholic Church to whatever.
Okay.
And it's done with them. It's done regularly every year.
I see. Okay, but it's still the same. The point still applies that the churches aren't the only ones giving charity. So just because they're giving charity doesn't mean that they deserve a tax deduction or tax exemption, because everybody gives charity.
Well, the thing is, they get exemption that's based on ancient laws back in the times when kings ruled countries, and the churches were the ones who gave the kings, a right to rule.
Mm-hmm.
So they, it was I help you, you help me, and so they gave all the backing the kings and nobles wanted, and in exchange they didn't have to pay any taxes.
Right.
And now we're left with those old precedents, and that's all it's based on. The old days when the king of France or the king of Poland or the king of wherever was got their right to be a king based on the say-so of the church, and so that's all it's based on, at least as far as I understand.
Okay. You said you had a Christian glitches for us this week, right?
Oh yes, and it has to do with taxes and churches.
Awesome.
Do you have any idea who that could be?
Taxes and churches. Is it
Yeah.
about tax fraud?
Maybe yes.
Oh, okay.
Eric Hoven.
No, but
No.
you're getting warm.
His
No.
father Kent.
Yes, it is. And it is brand new stuff. It's for anybody who doesn't know Pastor Stephen Anderson. He is an extremely right-wing minister. He's only 33-year-old, and he's got his own YouTube channel, and he's been interviewed everywhere in Scotland, in Ireland, and all in Europe, because he is extremely right wing, and he believes that a woman's place is at home, a man's place is at work, and you're providing to his family, and there's no other way around it. And so he he did a podcast or something, a Google Hangout, and during the Hangout he had a call directly coming in from jail from Kent Hovind, and he interviewed Kent Hovind. And I thought I listened to the whole thing, and, I chose this because it just shows how much Kent Hovind has not learned his lesson. And he just has not learned his lesson as to why he's in jail, and it's really hilarious. So listen to this. For people who will watch the video, the lips don't always sync with the audio, but then that's not my fault. That's Pastor Stephen Anderson's fault. So
Yeah, it's just like me in real life. My lips don't follow the sound that comes out of my mouth.
exactly.
Yeah.
He's a Chinese dub movie.
Yeah.
So let's have fun.
Well, but here's the thing: even if whether or not people agree or disagree, with how you handled your taxes or how you handled your finances, though, either way, it isn't right for Christians to be turning you over to the reprobate government to judge you. Either way, according to 1 Corinthians 6, right?
And Matthew 18, that is correct. Yeah, they absolutely should not have been done.
Yeah, now if somebody is committing,
obviously,
if somebody's committing murder or somebody is a child molester or a rapist, obviously we would turn them over to the authorities because, we don't have the power to punish people like that in the local church. Obviously, we don't have the power to give the death penalty or whatever like these people should get. So at that point, if somebody's murdering or raping or child molesting, then yeah, we turn them over to the authorities. But if it's a financial issue that somebody has a problem with, if someone is being or feels that they're being defrauded or, whatever, or they think that you're defrauding the IRS or whatever weird idea they have in their mind, either way, that is sinful and wrong for them to take that to the wicked legal system, because God tells them, 1 Corinthians 6, the kind of people that are going to be judging you are these abusers of themselves with mankind, and then, just these basically adulterers and lascivious people. And then that turns out that's exactly...
This call is from the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office.
That's exactly
you have 60 seconds remaining.
That's exactly what your prosecutor was, when you look at it, right?
Oh, exactly right. Yes, I need to call you back again here, brother.
Okay.
And it is so sad. And to make it worse, the people who even those that we just mentioned, the Christians that testified against me, if you call them today and ask them what they think about me, they still will say bad things because they're covering their backside, just like these U.S. attorneys. They still will not admit they did any wrong.
Well, because they would have some serious repentance to do, because if they admit that what they did was wrong, then they're responsible for a lot of suffering on your end.
Yeah, well, call like you're a prospective student. Hey, I'm interested in your college, but I understand Kent Hovind lives nearby. Can you tell me what your position on him is? You'll be shocked. Call David Gibbs, CLA. Hey, I'm interested in your protecting our church ministry, but first I want to hear what you think about Kent Hovind. They're still covering their backside. They think they did no wrong.
And so,
Wow.
I love that in the middle of that the operator comes in and
yes.
you have 60 seconds, you criminal, you.
So we have proof that it came from jail.
It did.
And so, he did nothing wrong. It was the other people, from the other churches. They should never have given him away to the law.
The
When
reprobate
it
law.
comes to finances, to the IRS,
No.
Yeah, what about when the Bible where it says render unto Caesar what is Caesar's?
Ah.
And
Oh boy.
I had to only keep it down to about 2 or 3 minutes, but he keeps saying that he doesn't know why, what he did wrong, and that he asked the IRS to tell him what he was doing wrong, and he would do it, make it right. Meanwhile, while he's in jail, the IRS has seized a lot of his assets, and he is still trying to play games with them. And I think it was in 2011 or in 2009, he tried to have an injunction, a lien placed on those assets that the IRS had, taken away from him, saying that he owned it.
Mhm.
And so now the IRS, that's one of the reasons he is being kept in jail past the time, he was finished, because now the IRS is still after him for more stuff. And for example, they're considering that it's contempt of court for Kent Hovind to have gone to try to put a lien on assets that were taken away from him. So those assets don't belong to him anymore. They belong to the government. He cannot put a lien on something that doesn't belong on him, to him.
Yeah. The whole his whole convoluted logic doesn't make any sense, because he'll use the law to support just certain ideas of what he's doing, because the government gives him the right to even have a church. So I don't know. It does the whole. He's just nuts. He's just plain nuts.
Well, as you can see, Stephen Anderson is just as nuts.
Yeah.
A church does people. Fellow Christians are not supposed to give somebody away to the IRS.
Right. But they don't have. That's like Sharia. That's like saying that we should do it with. We should go. That's like that. He wants Christian Sharia law where they handle it themselves. But it's okay to turn in a murderer or a where do you draw the line? Where does the line come? You don't go to the government for this offense, but you go to the government for that offense. It doesn't make any sense.
I know. And so, what do you guys think of my choice for this week?
That was a good one. That was my favorite one so far.
That's very good. That's very good. Yeah. So, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but Eric Hovind, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So he's I mean, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, eh? That guy, he's got his own ministry, eh? He's got his own thing going on. He's got, of course, his ministry is a charity. So I was able to, since all charities are supposed to submit their taxes for everybody to look at, I was able to look at one of his tax returns some time ago, and I saw that the guy had a lot of money, and that got me curious. And I looked up the address, and I saw that, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but he is the owner of a store.
Yeah.
That's his charity. His charity is not like a church. It's not even his YouTube channel. It's a store, where you go and buy stuff. Mm-hmm. It's even called the Creation Store. It's not called the Creation Church, the Creation Ministry. Mm-hmm. It's not. It's a store, a charity named Store. Okay.
Right.
So it's for profit. That's what that means. Now,
yeah.
I got a link to the like Google has like a street view, so you can see in front of his store. You can see he's in a shopping mall, of course, because that's where you find churches, and the Home Depot is not far from there. And on the other side is a used car sales lot, and yeah, it says right there, the Creation Store in big letters. So
Well, I don't see how we can own anything because you have to file a deed at the reprobate courthouse.
Well, here's an interesting bit I found out yesterday when I was doing some research on Kent Hovind. I took it from Wikipedia. It seems, like in 2009, or the government has been seizing his assets. Now, here's the interesting part. I lost my place now. Give me half a second. Where is Eric in this? There was. The thing is that the government has seized assets, but the thing is, Eric was able to claim that one of those assets was his because he had built a house on that property.
Oh boy. Okay.
So now he was able to save some of his dad's assets by claiming it for himself because he's got a property on that. He's got a house on that property.
Do they call the property Gaza?
I see what you did there. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
They're scamming everything.
Yeah, they're
scammers, liars. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I was going to send you a clip. I forgot to send it to you. But speaking of scammers, remind me to send it to you. Had you ever heard of a preacher named Stan Scott?
Nope.
No.
Okay, he was a televangelist back in the 80s and early 90s, and what he would do is he would get on the air. He was always angry. He was angry about everything, and he would get on the air and he would say to people, he would say, "We need $1,000 right now. We need $1,000 right now, and I'm just going to sit here until you send us, until we get that $1,000." And then he'd sit stock still and say nothing with the cameras rolling, and people would send him money.
Really? People would send him money over
People
that?
would send him money, yeah. And and then they would show, because they would like cut to, the camera would be on him for a long time, and then it would cut to his people operating the phone banks, and these old women would be crying like they were terrified that he was going to, blow up if they didn't get the $1,000. So people would I think felt sorry for the old ladies, and they would start sending money in.
That reminds me so much of stories that I've heard from the Church of Scientology. Yeah, they pretty much do the same thing, except on a much bigger scale, with a lot of salespeople.
Yep.
That's crazy.
So it seems that Kent Hovind, though, is going to be in jail for a while longer because now they've got more cases against him.
Yeah. Excellent.
That's good.
And
that's good.
I hope that that his son would also go there for a visit. A very long visit. That would be great. If they can find something against him, or when they do.
Yeah, when I don't know how he hasn't yet. Unless like everything he's doing is he's hiding it under his dad, so his dad, dad gets all the blame maybe or something. I don't know, but I don't see how they haven't gotten him yet.
Yeah, and I found that spot there on the line. It says, Eric Hovind said that he owned one of the properties and took active control over the lot by personally building a home on it with $70,000 he borrowed from one of the ministries. Actually, the ministry is CSC. I'm not too sure which one it is. So the court accepted Eric's ownership due to improvements made on the property and allowed Eric to keep that property, but is allowing the government to seize the other 9 properties. So the government's
9?
Yes.
Oh, 9 properties.
Yeah, he had 10. Kent had 10 properties.
He got to keep 1. That's
Yep.
ridiculous. Oh man.
And it was in 2013 that Kent tried to put he filed a lien on those 9 properties. So the government is asking for a show of cause from Hoven to explain why he should not be found in contempt of court for the false filings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if he knows that the court sees it, then he should know he can't file a lien on it. And yeah, I don't know. He's nuts. He's
Yep.
he's ballsy. I mean, that's just outright bold, doing stuff like that.
Well, here's the thing. You said it earlier, right? It's render unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is that he thinks he's Caesar.
That's what it is. Yeah, that's good. I don't know. Okay. Well, you ready to wrap up the show?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and read the outro then. That's all for today. Please make sure that you subscribe to the Atheism TV channel. There you can watch the Infidel News for the Damned, where our talented team of writers and anchors present these and other stories not normally covered in the media. In the coming week, the Infidel will rerun today's stories and many more fascinating ones. You'll find Atheism TV at youtube.com/atheismtv. The Infidel Podcast of the Damned is a Nicole SD production. Nicole and I would like to recognize and say thank you to True Surge, who did the voiceover used in our intro and gave us permission to use his music from his song Lied To as our opening theme.
Yeah.
We'd also like to thank Emmanuel for participating in today's podcast. And I'm sorry I butchered your French pronunciation on your name. I don't know.
No, it's fine.
Okay. I do it to Nicole all the time. Nicole's channel is Nicole SD and can be found at youtube.com/NICOLSD. I'm Gamut Man on YouTube, at Gamut Man on Twitter, and my blog and information on my books, including my nonfiction title, Believe It, You Know, an Atheist, as well as my mystery novels featuring the atheistic detective Lupa Schwartz, can be accessed at tinyurl.com/lupalanding. While there, you can sign up to receive my newsletter. Signing up also entitles you to choose one free ebook title from my collection of 99-cent novellas. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.